Canada, with its vast land and comparatively sparse population of 38 million, has historically leveraged immigration as a vital economic catalyst. This strategy bolstered the workforce with skilled labor and injected vitality into various sectors. However, recent trends reveal a downside. The housing market is struggling to keep up with the rising population. As more people arrive, the demand for homes increases, leading to soaring prices and making it harder for many to afford housing. Japan, on the other hand, is confronted with a distinct challenge characterized by a swiftly aging population and a diminishing birth rate, signaling an impending demographic crisis. The scarcity of younger individuals to sustain the elderly demographic poses potential strains on the economy. These dynamics prompt critical questions. How has Canada's economy become so entwined with immigration, and what ramifications has this entanglement brought? What strategies can Japan adopt to address its demographic crisis without the same reliance on immigration as Canada? And finally, are there lessons other nations can learn from Canada and Japan's immigration policies, both successes and failures? Canada's expansive territory, with a population dwarfed by a single U.S. state like California or a major Asian metropolis like Tokyo, presents a compelling case for skilled immigration. Attracting workers with in-demand skills or those seeking higher education offers a potent economic stimulus. Unlike national debt increases, this approach fosters long-term growth through a more robust and diverse workforce. Some economists warn of a population trap in Canada. While continued high immigration may strain infrastructure and resources, abruptly halting the flow could create labor shortages and hinder economic momentum. This dilemma is common, with other advanced economies facing similar challenges. Skilled migration, carefully managed, can be a game changer for advanced economies with aging populations and low birth rates. It bridges critical workforce gaps, ensuring a younger generation of taxpayers can support the growing retiree population. Additionally, skilled immigrants often arrive with resources, injecting capital into the local economy through housing purchases, car rentals or purchases, and general living expenses. This upfront economic stimulus fosters business growth and job creation. The economic impact of skilled migration can vary depending on the migrant's origin. Newcomers from developing economies, often motivated by the allure of higher wages and improved quality of life, may have less initial capital. Their spending on housing, transportation, and everyday needs still contributes significantly to the overall economic activity. In the long run, their skills and entrepreneurial spirit can further enrich the host nation's economy. Many countries offer golden visas, granting permanent residency or even citizenship to wealthy individuals who invest a certain amount of money in the local economy. These investors, even if already wealthy, usually enjoy a high quality of life in advanced economies. These countries are typically safer, more politically stable, less polluted, and provide better opportunities for their children and stronger protections for their property. Additionally, international students contribute significantly to these economies, bringing in billions of dollars annually through tuition fees. They often work in lower-end student jobs that locals may not want, while skilled international workers fill roles that would otherwise remain vacant without significant investment in training. This boosts economic output and tax revenue, making it a powerful tool for maintaining economic growth. This system can come at the expense of developing countries, which lose their wealthiest, most promising, and talented workers. Despite this potential downside, advanced economies have been using this strategy successfully for a long time, with few negative consequences. This is what makes the situation in Canada particularly interesting. After the global pandemic, increasing migration became a key strategy to boost the economy. This move directly helped institutions like universities, which earn significant revenue from international students and employ many people. Part of this effort was to compensate for the slowdown in immigration due to global travel restrictions, which reduced incoming people by around 100,000 in 2020. Now, Canada welcomes nearly 500,000 new migrants each year, most of whom come for economic reasons. Another group consists of refugees seeking asylum for safety reasons, driven more by humanitarian concerns than economic ones. The rest are people immigrating to join family members who have work visas. This substantial increase in migration is expected to have significant economic impacts. While some effects will align with the positive goals of these policies, there will also be unintended side effects. Canada's relatively small population makes the influx of new residents each year a significant event. Despite its vast landmass, Canada is densely populated, primarily centered around a few major cities. This concentrated growth intensifies the demand for housing, already a challenge given Canada's reputation for high housing costs, particularly in urban areas where most newcomers settle for education or work opportunities. This surge in population puts noticeable upward pressure on both rental and property prices, showcasing a clear instance of demand exceeding supply. While it's conceivable that additional housing might eventually match this population growth, the sudden and substantial increase in housing demand highlights an immediate need for accommodations. Careless handling of large immigration numbers can lead to broader issues. Increasing the workforce in an economy, all else being equal, can boost the overall output because more people are producing goods. But if economic resources are thinly stretched across a large population, per capita output may stall or even decline. Canada faces challenges due to its proximity to the United States, a more productive and economically vibrant neighbor with better business prospects, higher wages, and lower taxes, often just a river away. As Canada attracts highly skilled workers globally, many skilled workers within Canada are opting for better opportunities in the USA. This trend raises concerns that slowing immigration rates could lead to a skills shortage, particularly in vital sectors like healthcare. Conversely, maintaining high immigration rates could dilute business investment across more workers, potentially reducing individual productivity levels. Thus, Canada must strike a balance in managing its immigration policies to avoid negative repercussions on both economic output and skilled workforce availability. Canada, being close both in terms of geography and culture, somewhat lives in the economic shadow of the USA's success. Aside from the continuous flow of workers coming into Canada to replace those leaving, there's also the issue of skilled workers bringing their less productive family members along. Even if these skilled workers individually increase the average GDP per person, their family units might lower this average. Another concern with a rapid increase in immigration is how these numbers are managed. Many people globally wish to move to developed countries like Canada due to the significant improvement in their quality of life. However, countries cannot accept everyone at once, as it would lead to economic challenges. Therefore, countries like Canada can be selective about who they allow in, typically granting skilled worker visas to those with the most needed skills in the economy. Canada is significantly increasing the number of people it admits each year. This change means that at least half of these individuals wouldn't have qualified under previous admission levels. Will this lead to lower productivity overall, exacerbating the issue of more people not necessarily benefiting the country? Only time will provide a definitive answer. A current notable concern in Canada is individuals bypassing the screening process by obtaining student visas. Canada attracts many students, which presents an excellent opportunity as the nation educates its workforce, with these students paying for this privilege. Yet, this assumes they are attending legitimate educational institutions to acquire real skills from qualified educators. Unlike other major student destinations, Canada faces serious challenges with its tertiary education facilities. Many of these institutions are essentially empty buildings that grant student visas, but lack genuine educational offerings. Reports suggest these places conduct minimal classes just to meet the basic requirements for students to be considered enrolled. These entities are so prevalent that they are known as diploma mills in the country. Canada's regulations regarding student privileges are quite generous. For instance, students are allowed to work full-time during school breaks and can purchase housing, bypassing restrictions on foreign buyers. They can even bring their partners along. This has led to issues on multiple fronts. Wealthy foreign students in particular have bought numerous homes in Canada, exacerbating the problem of unaffordable housing. Some extreme cases involve students spending tens of millions of dollars on accommodation while studying. On the flip side, there are those who view student status as merely a means to work in Canada, often taking up roles in the gig economy. This influx of workers has a dampening effect on overall economic output. If Canada continues admitting large numbers of people without boosting per capita productivity, it may end up raising living costs without a corresponding increase in economic output. Conversely, halting immigration could swiftly lead to a shortage of skilled labor, causing short-term disruptions for businesses reliant on population growth and skilled workers. Both scenarios pose significant challenges for Canada, a country already grappling with high household debt due to its expensive real estate market. Any major changes would necessitate drastic adjustments for businesses and individuals alike, potentially destabilizing the economy further. If Canada were to suddenly restrict new arrivals, mirroring a previous doubling in immigration, many households might face financial peril. This could result in homeowners owing more on their mortgages than their homes are worth, leading to significant and immediate economic hurdles. This scenario presents a demographic dilemma for Canada, grappling with issues from both ongoing immigration and abrupt limitations. While this matter is crucial and demands careful attention, it's crucial to temper some portrayals of it that may veer towards sensationalism. Navigating the intricacies of immigration and its economic impacts requires strategic thinking. It's essential to acknowledge that discussing immigration solely from an economic angle is complex, beyond mere pro- or anti-immigration sentiments. Critiquing immigration policies or levels need not imply negativity towards immigrants themselves. Conversely, attributing all economic and social problems to immigrants oversimplifies matters. One potential solution for addressing housing affordability is balancing demand and supply. Immigrants can drive up demand for housing, yet they also offer an opportunity to bolster housing supply. Canada's population clusters in major cities, where strict zoning laws hinder rapid construction to match growth. Relaxing these regulations could ease housing shortages and spur economic growth, particularly in the construction sector. Despite a shortage of skilled workers in construction, skilled migration can fill critical roles, supporting economic and infrastructure development. Yet, public sentiment influences policy, especially regarding land use and zoning. Balancing broader societal needs with local concerns is key, requiring effective governance at all levels, including responsive local councils. If addressing housing challenges from the supply side proves intricate, focusing on demand-side solutions becomes vital. Canada has already made strides in recalibrating immigration policies, adjusting visa allowances, and reviewing student fee regulations as part of this ongoing recalibration. The global significance of immigration and skilled migration issues is underscored by the fact that many countries grapple with similar challenges but handle them differently. Speaking at the start of Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, on May 1, 2024, U.S. President Joe Biden stirred up a diplomatic controversy by suggesting that America's faster-growing economy compared to Japan's was due to America's openness to immigrants, contrasting Japan's perceived xenophobic stance. Understandably, these remarks didn't sit well with Japan, a long-standing U.S. ally, which characterized the comments as unfortunate and inaccurate. However, it's important to provide context to Biden's remarks. Historically, Japan has maintained significantly stricter immigration policies compared to many Western nations, leading to a lower immigration rate. This stance has been a contributing factor to Japan's economic stagnation and demographic challenges over the years. Traditionally, Japan has viewed itself as an ethnically homogeneous nation, which has influenced its immigration policies, particularly regarding permanent residency and citizenship. Until recently, Japan's foreign population represented less than 2% of its total population, with a significant portion comprising ethnic Japanese immigrants from South America known as Nikken or Zainichi Koreans, who are people of Korean descent born in Japan. The naturalization process in Japan has been considered costly and challenging, contributing to the low number of immigrants gaining citizenship. In contrast, the global average foreign population is around 3.5%, with OECD countries averaging about 7%, and European nations like Germany having foreign populations nearing 25% of their total. Japan has also been notably cautious in admitting refugees, with a small fraction of asylum seekers being recognized as refugees each year, typically less than 1%. In 2019, Japan admitted only 44 refugees, which constituted a mere 0.4% of all applications. To provide context, during the same period, the United States accepted nearly 455,000 refugees, with a recognition rate of 30%, while Germany accepted close to 55,000 refugees, with a recognition rate of 26%. This stark contrast in refugee acceptance rates underscores Japan's historically cautious approach to immigration, which has faced increasing scrutiny, especially in light of Japan's demographic challenges. Even during Japan's economic boom in the 1980s, there were calls from Japanese business leaders to address labor shortages, particularly in what are termed as 3K jobs, low-paid, physically demanding jobs that many Japanese citizens were unwilling to take. While Japan has had mechanisms in place for short-term skilled labor migration, such as for university professors, there was reluctance to accept significant numbers of unskilled laborers. Part of this reluctance stemmed from Europe's experience post-World War II, where guest workers intended to fill temporary labor gaps ended up staying permanently, leading to social and economic complexities. Although Japan made some amendments to its immigration laws in the 1990s, including the introduction of the Technical Intern Training Program in 1993, the overall share of foreign workers in the labor force remained relatively low, never exceeding 3%. The technical intern training program became a source of controversy due to reported instances of poor treatment and exploitation of temporary workers. The lack of robust protections for interns raised concerns internationally, with some likening it to human trafficking. This situation partly stemmed from the Japanese government's intent for guest workers to return home after their visas expired, with around 97% of them complying with this requirement. In recent years, Japan's demographic challenges, characterized by an aging population and declining birth rates, have become more pronounced. In response, the government has quietly begun to liberalize its immigration rules, recognizing the need for a more flexible approach to address labor shortages and sustain economic growth. Japan's fertility rate, representing the average number of children per woman, fell below the replacement rate of 2.1 in the 1970s and has continued to decline, reaching approximately 1.2 today. This downward trend in fertility rates is significant as it indicates a shrinking population over time, a trend exacerbated by various socioeconomic factors. Despite implementing generous pro-family policies, such as subsidies for childcare and parental leave, Japan has struggled to reverse the declining birth rates. Throughout the 1990s and into the 2000s, Japan's workforce began to shrink, a trend that extended to the overall population of the country. While initially, Japan managed to mitigate some of its labor gaps by integrating more women into the workforce, this was only a temporary solution. By 2022, the labor force reduction had resurfaced as a significant issue for Japan's economy. Over the past decade, Japan has consistently maintained an unemployment rate below 3%, yet around 86% of Japanese businesses have faced challenges in filling job vacancies. This growing problem prompted the Japanese government to gradually open up its labor migration policies. In the 2000s, the technical intern training program expanded to encompass a wider range of industries, extending the maximum stay from 3 to 5 years. The most notable shift occurred in 2019 when Japan introduced the Specified Skilled Worker (SSW-1) visa, specifically targeting individuals with technical skills. Initially, this visa allowed foreign nationals who had completed technical intern training to remain in Japan for up to 5 years, working in one of 12 sectors identified by the government as having severe labor shortages. Japan saw a rapid increase in its foreign population, jumping from around 2 million in the mid-2010s to nearly 3 million just before the pandemic hit. As many original SSW-1 visa holders' permits were expiring, Japanese businesses raised concerns with the government about their inability to replace these workers. In response, the government introduced the SSW-2 visa, specifically targeting the most sought-after SSW-1 workers. One significant feature of the SSW-2 visa is that it allows workers to bring their families along and offers unlimited renewals, essentially enabling SSW-2 workers to reside in Japan permanently. Initially, SSW-2 was restricted to workers in construction and shipbuilding. In June, the government expanded its scope to include 9 additional sectors, such as the challenging-to-define service sector, and doubled the annual visa cap to 160,000. This move marks Japan's first step toward granting permanent residency to foreign workers, signifying a shift towards broader immigration policies. Despite these developments, Japan has handled this transition quietly, with officials avoiding the term immigration and instead focusing on labor-related discussions, possibly to preempt any public opposition. Surprisingly, public sentiment appears to be more receptive than anticipated. Polls indicate that most Japanese people are aware of their demographic challenges and have become increasingly supportive of immigration. While international comparisons are tricky due to Japan's limited migration history, recent polling suggests that Japanese attitudes toward migrants are among the most positive globally. A survey from 2023 revealed that 86% of Japanese municipalities desire an influx of foreign workers. The looming question remains whether these measures are sufficient, given Japan's severe demographic issues and its diminished appeal to immigrants due to economic challenges, like a weak currency and prolonged economic stagnation. Do you think immigration is a boon or burden for economies like Canada and Japan? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more insights.